Izzy, what are you doing?
Well, I know we're talking about all kinds of different scaping today, and I've really been listening to Tony and learning to understand that sometimes he says one thing, but he means something more important, and he loves magic, so his favorite scaping is going to be escaping.
No. We're talking about scaping. We're talking about the view. We're talking about making things pretty. We're talking about things like windowscaping, how to dress up your window a little bit. We're talking about wallscaping. We're talking about the things to make the house look great. It's the picture.
Yes, but he said he wanted to talk about his favorite, and I'm telling you, his favorite is escaping. Come here,
Okay,
let's do this, come on.
Okay,
Let's get this cups on here.
I got you. Here you
Okay,
go.
guys, what
What
are you doing?
It's handcuffs.
Okay.
But for what?
Yeah.
Well, because we're talking about scaping, and I'm going to talk about his favorite scaping. Tony's favorite scaping is going to be escaping.
Yeah, escaping.
So I'm doing my
Makes sense.
escape artist tricks.
Okay, so, but if we're talking about the scaping we're thinking of like floorscaping, like the view of all the floor coming together and how you see it and how it's all put together in a home. So the carpet, the planks, the tile, floorscaping.
Yeah, and we're going to also talk about wallscaping, showing how you can create different features on different walls that have the view that you see as you walk through the house. You know, wallscaping.
Yeah.
Tony said his favorite though.
Yes, and his favorite is going to be
escaping.
ta-da!
Okay.
Escaping.
Maybe. We'll see.
see how that goes.
Yep.
Good luck, guys.
I don't know why they're not getting it, Izzy. I really don't know why. Now, you said you had another one.
Yes, okay, so my second one, instead of doing metal, we're going to do rope, because sometimes people think, oh, you got cuffs or something like that, so we're going to tie those
What are you guys
tie those two knots.
We're talking about Tony's favorite thing. We're talking about escaping.
Yes.
They're confused.
tight,
We're talking
tight,
about
tight.
trimscaping.
There you go.
Trim's important. Around your doors, your windows, your baseboards, your crown molding.
We agree,
What?
but Tony said his favorite. And even though he loves the trimscaping and everything like that, he really likes escaping.
It's going to be escaping is going to be his favorite.
I don't know. And trim is not only on the interior, but it's also the exterior. And you know what else is on the exterior? Roofscaping. And long gone are asphalt shingles. I mean, we still use them, but we do accents too. Metal, we do slate, we do lots of different colors. So definitely roofscaping.
I'm not disagreeing with you. That's very, very important. But Tony's favorite is escaping.
It's going to be escaping, though.
I think you're
No?
They're
Scott,
off.
yeah,
They're
they're
off.
off.
No,
They're
man,
off.
I've got...
Yeah.
I think we got this. I think he's going to want to talk about the escaping.
Wait, we can...
Oh, yeah,
impress him
we
with
got
this
one more. We got one more.
This will impress him.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one...
Okay, guys,
let
I
me
think
switch
we're
it.
ready.
Let me
I've
switch
got
it.
landscaping and streets. What in the world are you doing to the blankets?
See, I listened to you, Tony. I know you said you were talking about your favorite scaping, which is going to be escaping with magic tricks.
Escaping.
Magic tricks, so that's what I can do.
I don't think so. I don't know where you got this idea. We're talking about how you build a house and what's important, like streetscaping and landscaping. And
But you
stuff like
said you
this.
loved it when he did it at the company Christmas party.
Come on, it's
All
great
right.
tricks.
Let's go. Since we're
All
here,
right,
might as well
here we
tell
go.
us what you can do.
1, 2, 3.
Wow! That was amazing.
That was horrible. Oh, that was
Yeah,
horrible.
it kind of was.
I don't think a kindergarten kid would.
I guess in this technology world, escaping does make sense, but that's not what we're talking about today. is
No,
it, Tony?
not at all.
It's a different type of scaping. We're going to talk about streetscaping.
You know what?
And we brought our magic
Oh, yeah.
picture frame.
Now, this is magic.
This will help you.
Ready for this? Look at the stonescaping on this house.
Yeah, I love that. And then there's also things like brickscaping or windowscaping you see from the road.
Oh, yes. And then there's also hardscaping with things like fountains and brickwork and stonework around there.
Here's another example of streetscaping.
Look at this driveway scaping.
Okay, now this is what we're going to talk about today. So I'm sure they're going to want to stay tuned, but that was not magic, is it? I heard
Not
you've been
really.
learning a few things.
Oh, hey, by the way, when you get her name right, it's not Alberta, it's Alexa.
We've
I'm
been
glad
saying
you learned
that.
that. I'm glad you
figured it out.
learned that.
Watch this. Alexa, make Tony and I disappear.
Okay, that was impressive.
Welcome to Between the Studs. We are Granite Ridge Builders, custom builders serving northern Indiana, northwest Ohio, and also parts of southern Michigan. We have been building custom homes for almost 2 decades, and we're really passionate about what we do. So join us today as we explore the processes, the trends, and also tips that characterize today's new home. Thanks for watching.
Hey, welcome back. We're glad you've joined us today for, I think, a very exciting show. Right, Tony? They're all exciting. But today we want to talk about a very important consideration when it comes to building a custom home or even remodeling a home. And the term we're going to use is scaping. And it refers to things in the home that you basically see inside and outside. It has to deal with proportion and balance and things that are pleasing to the eye. And today we're going to look at a lot of different various components as we consider this term scaping.
And I think we've all picked some, but I think the word is so important to understand. It's your view. It's really like the first impression. And think of what that first impression is when you walk into a house, you see something on the wall, the floor, or especially in the street. How does that house look? Is it balanced, like Lonnie said? So I'm going to talk a little bit about streetscaping today. I think that's an important subject. What about you guys? Why don't you pick one of your favorites that we're going to talk about today?
When I think of the word scaping, I think of also the wow factor. What is going to make that pop? And there's nothing bigger than that than kitchen.
Oh.
Kitchen scaping. I mean, that look of someone's face when they open up your pantry and they see it's actually 10 foot long and has the shelves and does everything. It has the lighting underneath the cabinets, the islands, the way that they pop, the way that you can make the granite or the quartz stick out on the island by doing a different one on the back. So many things that you can do when it comes to kitchen scaping.
I have to say too, the biggest trends in kitchenscaping right now have to be range hoods and all the different styles that you see there. And honestly, one thing I've seen a lot of lately have been pot fillers, just those little things that, you know, create that little wow that you were talking about.
No, you got to talk about appliances.
True.
Now,
Very true.
unfortunately, there has been a shortage, Luke, but you've taken care of that for us. Is that what I heard on appliances?
we got it under control right now.
Okay, good.
And then moving on from kitchenscaping, one of my favorite ones, and I think it's the most important, is wallscaping. Especially in 2021, we're doing a lot of eclectic styles, mixed materials. We're seeing a lot of things come back on the walls. It could be trim, which Elizabeth will talk about later. We're going to see wallpaper again, right?
Absolutely.
I know it's scary for people at home, but we're going to talk about wallpaper again.
Yep.
And some of the windows will play into wallscaping as well, which I think Izzy's going to talk about too.
You also have wallscaping right behind us.
Absolutely.
With the two different kinds right here.
You know, I really love to talk about floorscaping. I think it's one of the most important things because it's one of the first things you see in the house as well. One thing that is really cool that the trend they're saying is that the more hard surface flooring that you have throughout the house, it could increase your home value by 5%. And we know that trend because we're seeing less and less carpet throughout the house too. Another great feature to talk about with flooring is all the different materials. How are you going to mix the woods versus carpets versus tiles? And then what direction are you going to lay them? All of those things are absolutely huge in the overall look and feel of your floorscaping.
Kayla, to tell people the most important thing in our showroom now is probably floorscaping, right? How big of an area does Granite Ridge have for all the people if they want to select the thousands of choices? How big is your showroom?
It's large, and it's not large enough. There's always more options and more things that we can be getting, but it is absolutely huge. It's the largest part of our showroom by far, and we keep getting new samples in every single day because it's changing. The technology is changing, and it's really fun. We'll have to do another floor show soon because it's an all-consuming thing with your home.
I love to talk about trimscaping, and this can change the whole house. It's very important with your architectural style. Arts and crafts, you might have a lot of trim. So you might have trim on the wall, as JR said, big baseboards, big crown moldings, beams. But then when it comes to a modern home, you want to be minimalistic. So very simple trim. And I'd argue, you said flooring adds a lot of value. I think that the trim adds a lot of value to the home.
And Elizabeth, that's why it's so important to work with somebody who understands different styles and knows how to make good recommendations on what kind of trim or no trim at all that'll fit our clients' needs.
Elizabeth, did I hear that one of the biggest trends now in stairscaping, which is part of that area that you're talking about in trim, did I hear that glass is one of the most popular railings? Is that true?
It is. We have a lot of requests for it. I know Kayla's always pricing that out. Also, even cable railing. We're doing a lot of cable railing.
Now, I heard that's a little expensive, but it's not any more expensive than some other things too. So
It's not. It makes a huge difference in the overall look of the home too.
Windowscaping is the one I want to address today, and windows, the placement, or the fenestration is the fancy word. Where you place
that word.
why he likes that word, I don't know.
It's a fun word, but where you place windows is very important, and it's an interesting piece in the home because what matters is not only where they're placed on the outside, but also where they're placed on the inside.
Yes.
And the best fenestration is one that benefits the exterior and the interior of a home. And one of the trends that we're seeing is seeing the window trim being black on the exterior, and right now in 2021, we're seeing it even on the interior of the windows being black trim.
And how big is the glass getting now?
As big as you can get it.
Pretty much.
Now, one of the things that I've enjoyed seeing over the past few years changing is roofscaping. So we used to just put asphalt shingles up there and kind of forget about it. But probably one of the biggest trends for this year are accent roofs. But then there's also a lot of different styles of shingles that you can pick now. They can be different materials or just different styles of the asphalt shingle. But one thing that a lot of people forget that ties in with roofscaping is there's lots of different types of roofs. You have shed roofs, gable roofs, hip roofs, the slopes of the roofs. Lonnie talked about proportion and mass. That can throw a house, it might feel off and you can't figure out why, but that's because that roof maybe pitches too high or too low depending on the house. So there's a lot of things you have to be really careful of when you're talking about roofscaping, and that's why we've spent a lot of time training ourselves to make sure we know those rules to follow when it comes to that roofscaping.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest trends we're seeing this year is when you talk about roofscaping is the overhangs, the size, the depth. That impacts our window placement, light in the home. So that's a big part of roofscaping as well.
And I think the roofscaping really defines the architectural style of the house too. Like you were saying, you know, if something feels off, it could be depending on that pitch, and that really defines what style. If you're going modern, you usually have something lower. If you're going craftsman, you might have a higher pitch. So I think that's really important to take into consideration too.
So we're talking about inside things and outside things. And one of the things that adds a lot of perceived value is, or can add perceived value, increased value, is the front door. The door you pick can increase the value of the actual cost of the door 10 times.
Yeah, and going along with that, when you walk up to someone's home, it's that first impression I said, landscaping. Landscaping can make or break a home, and it's that front door, it's that first impression. So we're going to hit a lot of these, and we're going to go into a lot more depth. Stay tuned. I guarantee you will not want to miss this. We've got a tremendous amount of pictures to show you and all the new trends. Guys, let's pick our stations.
All right.
Can you make the left so we can all disappear?
Talk about all of those.
When you're talking about scaping in your home, one of the newest trends that's actually been around for a long time, but it went away, is wallscaping.
And this can have a dramatic effect on your home. Now there's some trends when it comes to your wallscaping, and I would say the biggest trend is the natural materials. So bringing the natural materials in. So we're doing a lot of walls that have a brick accent. That could be a real brick. It could be even a tile that looks like, you know, some sort of brick. Stone on the walls.
A lot of stone.
And then of course we love the wood on the wall in the back. And you could use, sometimes it's a flooring product used on the wall.
We see a lot of that, and we're also still seeing a lot of the shiplap on the walls. We're seeing wainscoting on the walls. We're seeing that on the same wall. We've got a sneak preview for that coming up here in a couple of weeks that looks really good.
Yeah, and then we're seeing some geometric patterns on the walls. So we're really pushing it with the trim with some patterns. And then of course there's wallpaper. We always talk about wallpaper and say it's coming back, but it is coming back. We're seeing geometric patterns. We're seeing murals.
Oh, some of the things that they're doing with the wallpaper, with the 10-foot walls, that's really just a big picture of some kind of a beachfront or a city. It looks amazing when they're doing that on the walls.
Well, I think wallscaping is so important because you can take any basic room and really change that look just with a nice accent wall like you have behind us.
Windowscaping is what we're here to address. And again, it's the fenestration, the placement of the windows. And it really is a huge part of a home, the right placement for a window. If we know the correct lot, where the house is sitting, we can make sure we can capture that sunrise. We can make sure we can enjoy that sunset. And so the window placement is key to any home.
And when we're placing these windows, Izzy, we also want to take into account the size of the windows. And the sizing is getting massive. You can see the windows behind us. We're talking almost floor to ceiling. We are maximizing all the beautiful views that we've got in some of these gorgeous communities.
And when they're done right, we've also got the right color scheme working. So according to the colors that we're doing on the exterior or the interior of the house, we can make sure those windows are going to coordinate with it. Behind us, you're going to see again that black trim is on the inside of the window. And again, it is so important because it's the only thing that you look through on the inside and the outside of a home. So it's a really important thing. So we're going to make sure we use the very best windows out there, our Anderson 400 series windows.
Yeah, those windows are filled with argon gas. They're double pane. They've got low 4E film. They've got even a titanium dioxide coating on the outside, which helps our customers not ever have to clean those windows from the outside. So many details about windows, guys. We'd love to talk to you about how we can incorporate these into your brand new home. So Kayla, in this segment, we get to talk about floorscaping, and I know you as one of our lead decorators, this is the area you spend the most time on. So let's start maybe with a couple of different materials you're seeing a lot right now?
Absolutely. So the most popular one has got to be the luxury vinyl planks. We love to see that, and that's really throughout most of the house. We're getting less and less carpet in usually just the bedrooms right now.
So we're also seeing some tile products. We'll see a lot of this tile in bathrooms. It really plays well with some of these upgraded tile showers that we're doing. We're also seeing some of this plank flooring too, correct?
Absolutely. Plank is great in the bathrooms because it is waterproof. So we're seeing it throughout most of the house and anywhere, and it's great that you don't have to worry about it in the wet areas.
And when we talk about scaping, the view, it's not just the product. It really is the installation and the pattern that we choose, right?
Absolutely. I think floorscaping really is defined by how it comes together in a room and how it is placed in a room. So the big thing that we're going to talk about is the floor pattern and what direction we're going to lay that. So when the wood-looking floor is the most popular feature throughout most of the house, we're going to be looking at, usually you want to go lengthwise in the room. When you're standing at your front door, you want to go with the flooring. So we're usually going to go front to back of the house is the most popular direction. This house is actually a long house, so we want to make sure that it enhances the house by going the other direction. Patterns are really important when it comes to the floor, so we are going to be looking at the chevron patterns and herringbone patterns. You can do that for wood or tile looks, and it really depends on where you're putting them, what the right one is for the right scale of room. In a half bath, you don't want something too small, or in a large space, you don't want something too large either. So a lot of things go into consideration, and that's what we're here for as designers, to get the right application for you.
I think what I've really noticed, at least in the last couple of years, is you guys are getting really creative and really playful with kind of mixing styles, mixing patterns, and how you're going to lay them together. There are so many different flooring options out there. People just have to come into our showroom and get a feel for all the options available.
Hey, Luke, that looks really good.
Yeah, I think we're about wrapped up.
Hey, on this segment, we're going to talk about landscaping. It's a very important subject when it comes to dressing up your old home or your new custom home.
Yeah, I know when we get ready to wrap up that house and that landscaping goes in right at the tail end, it always just brings the whole thing together. It can either complement things, or I've seen it the other way where it doesn't look so good.
Oh, you're right. And it's so important because a lot of subdivisions, there are ordinances that say you've got to put in so many shrubs and so many trees, so it's important for this consideration.
Right, and a basic landscape package is going to run you about $1,500 to $2,000, and then of course you can go on up from there.
Whatever you want to spend. So there's landscaping, we understand that term, and then there's also the term hardscaping that's kind of part of that, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're standing on a perfect example of that. So the hardscaping can either be poured concrete like this, or with some stamp, which you can see borders here. It can be pavers, brick pavers. It can be natural stone, like a flagstone as a walkway. So there's a lot of different ways you can incorporate the hardscaping right in, and you can see this is a perfect example where it just ties in beautifully.
And it's so beautiful and so important. So many people now are going outside to live, and so that hardscaping just provides a surface for them to be on and enjoy for years and years to come. So Luke, a lot of our lots are not level. I know this is sometimes a challenge for us, but landscapers love it.
They do love it because it gives it more layers or more tiers, topography, if you will. And you know, people used to use railroad ties and just anything to retain that grade back. Now they're getting, you know, big boulders or even concrete walls that again have that stamp pattern. So there's a lot of creative ways to give it that layering effect that really looks sharp.
And so again, for a few $100s or for several $1,000s, you can do beautiful things in your yard, front and back, to add to the value of your home that you're going to enjoy for years to come. By the way, I'm thirsty. I think I'm going to get a drink.
No, that's not a drinking fountain. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
What are you guys doing? What's going on here?
You know, Izzy, we're taking a look at the house across the street and the streetscaping, the front elevation, the curb appeal compared to what we've got in this beautiful model home behind us here.
Well, this is really a great example, and so is this photo right here, of something that's got a great elevation, a great streetscape. And when you're doing that, you're going to take a couple principles of architecture in mind. You're going to do things like balance and weight and rhythm, and all those things are going to be really important parts to making sure that your front elevation of your home looks amazing.
Well, why don't we unpack some of those principles you said, and we can use our house right here as an example. And you know, there's asymmetrical and symmetrical. Symmetrical means left and right are perfectly balanced. Well, we put garages on every one of our houses now, so it's hard to really get the symmetry right. And you can see here, the garage doors now are just as important as windows. And we do a lot of straps and make them look carriage. This one's here is a stain, but there's a lot of ways you can dress up that garage door.
Yeah, that creates a lot of personality. The proportions matter on these garage doors too. You'll notice on this main one, instead of doing a 16-foot wide, we did 18 to match the proportions to the size of the house.
I really love, again, the window structure, the fenestration, making sure that the windows have a great rhythm to them as they go across, not getting one window that's way too tiny, one that's way too big, but making sure they're proportionate not only across, but also from top to bottom. You wouldn't want to have some really, really large windows with some really tiny ones underneath them. It feels like it's too heavy.
Yeah, that'll mess with that balance that we've talked about.
Right.
I think one example, Luke, on the house behind us is the porchscaping. There's some beautiful things that we've done in this example behind us.
Yeah, and now let's talk about the columns that are on there. There are some principles with those. So we have 4 columns on this, which creates 3 negative spaces.
Yes.
And that's very important because that's what your eyes like is the negative space, the empty spaces should be an odd number.
Exactly, with an even number of columns
Yes.
to create that. And we are literally just scratching the surface of how, how this front facade, this streetscaping can impact a house. We got to talk more later on when our customers come in, when we have more time.
Well, today's show is all about scaping, and when we talk about kitchen scaping, it is all about the details. We're talking the small things like your hardware and the style of the cabinets, and all of those little things is what's going to bring together the most beautiful view that you've had for your next kitchen.
Sometimes when we're talking about the kitchen scaping, we're also talking about taking things away. We're putting so many intricate details in there, and with the backsplash and the countertops and the under cabinet lighting, we want to make sure that you see it. So as you see behind us, there's almost nothing on these countertops at all.
Absolutely, because we really want to make sure the kitchen is what stands out. So you want to see your countertops. We want to play around with the cabinet style. We want to do maybe some different colors from the island to the perimeter. There's all sorts of little things. What I love about this kitchen in particular, again, the scaping and bringing it all together, the hardware color is black, but the kitchen faucet is a champagne gold sort of color. So all of those little things makes it so cohesive because all those details are in between the cabinets and the countertops, and it flows together, and that's what kitchenscaping is all about.
And just like the rest of the house, a lot of glass.
Absolutely.
In the upper cabinets, we've got the black windows in the cabinets that actually match the other windows around the house.
And don't forget about appliances. It's a huge part of the kitchen, but I really think that pantries are where we're going now, and these pantries are getting absolutely amazing, especially this one.
This is like an endless pantry back here. It goes on for, it's longer than a bowling alley. I'm not exaggerating, and if I'm not wrong, if we go check, let's go see the barista.
I mean,
we got the
come on,
coffee
we
guy
have
in the
that.
pantry.
We have the barn door, and that goes with
Look at
cabinets
this.
over
This is
here.
amazing.
It's great. I mean, goodness. When we're talking all things scaping, I think my favorite one right now has got to be ceiling scaping because the trends are so much fun. I love that the ceiling scaping trends have been going to this natural sort of look with all sorts of beams and trusses. It's really something that is a great focal point in anyone's home.
And of course we have the basics, a vaulted ceiling, a 2-story ceiling, a 9-foot ceiling, a tray ceiling, but we're really expanding that. So we're taking our tray ceiling and making it into a coffered ceiling and using different materials from boxcar siding to crown molding. We've seen wallpaper on ceilings. We've seen black ceilings. We have a black ceiling.
Absolutely, yes we do. I mean, it's something that you might not think about, and that's the really exciting thing about ceiling scaping is it's one of the things that can be overlooked, but when you do pay attention to it and do it right, it can be something that changes the overall look of the home, and it can be a way to define the space. We have so many open floor plans right now that if you change the ceiling up a little bit, that can be a way that you differentiate the kitchen from the living room from the nook area.
And not only inside with your ceilings, we're expanding to the outside. So don't forget your porches, your verandas. We're doing a lot more when it comes to beam work, with boxcar siding outside, staining. So this is something simple you can add to your home, and really a lot of these ideas are just a few $100s.
So come on into Granite Ridge because we'd love to talk to you about your next ceiling scaping project.
All right, Elizabeth, we get to talk about trimscaping, which is personally my favorite thing as far as scaping is concerned, just because I love how, I mean, really it's a little bit like puzzle, but there's a lot of creativity that you can do with it.
There sure is. There's not just one type of trim. There's a lot of different profiles. That's really important. There's a lot of different sizes. So I would say 15, 20 years ago, you kind of saw the typical colonial 3¼ inch trim everywhere.
Right.
That's really changed. We do a lot of big trim in our houses. Of course, I talked earlier, it depends on the style of your home too. You maybe don't want a lot of trim if it's more of a modern look.
Right, and the nice thing about the trim too is you said it depends on the style of your home. Really, it depends on the style of the room, because you can have the kitchen be more of like a modern farmhouse, but then you might have more of a formal den. It might look a little bit more traditional. So really, you can kind of mix and match some of that within the house itself.
You're right, and then there's a lot of other things you can do with your trim. We talked a little bit about wallscaping, and that brings in trim. You can see right here, we've added it to our walls. It's a beautiful look. Also, you can mix things up. So this home, the trim, not only do we have painted trim, we have some stained trim as well. Then when it comes to your trim package, don't forget your stairs. That can be a focal point in your home. We do a lot of just straight stairs. You can see the one behind me is a little bit more unique. What I like about this stairs is we also added some bookcases at the end, so that's a unique feature. But when it comes to your railing, you may have 10 feet of railing, and you can do a lot with that. It can be wood. You can mix raw iron with wood. We've done that. You can mix wood and glass. We have all of this at our showroom, so we invite you to our 15,000 square foot showroom. Of course, we're in a model home. You can come out to any one of our models and see all of these ideas. Well, we covered a lot when it comes to scaping in your home today, and we know it can be overwhelming, but at Granite Ridge Builders, we make it really simple. We have wonderful designers, we have a wonderful showroom, and of course we have these gorgeous models that have ideas everywhere all over town.
One thing that I really learned today is when we're going through everything, I always think of scaping like with the trim scaping and the ceiling scaping. Sometimes I got to be reminded about the hardscaping on the outside and how you just adding brick or stone to some columns out front will completely change the look of the house.
As Elizabeth mentioned, at Granite Ridge Builders, we take this subject very, very seriously. And we'd invite you to come in, we'll sit down and we'll talk about scaping your home inside and out.
And Lonnie, you talk about that scaping. I think there's a big misnomer that people think that all of these items are going to add a tremendous amount of cost to the home. That's not necessarily the case. And even sometimes when we are working on scaping, we're pulling unnecessary items out of the home and saving our customers money.
Especially with our modern now.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, guys, I've been working here for about 17 years. We've built about 5,000 homes, and I feel like every time I see it all, but you guys keep bringing new stuff and dreaming things, and with our team, that's one of my favorite things is we build those custom homes, and every home's different, and as long as you can dream it, we can build it, and that's what makes my job fun.
And I know those 4 architects are giving you headaches daily.
Yeah, yep.
But we do make it work.
Yeah, we do. It's fun.
Now, this topic might seem overwhelming, but what isn't are the designers at Granite Ridge that are here to help you make sure that we get all of this correct. And so it's not something that you have to worry about at all. It's what we are absolutely proficient in, and we'd love to help you make it something very easy and make it sure it's right for your home.
And of all the things we've talked about today, I still pull away that I have an extra job as a magician.
Oh no.
Escape tricks.
Here he goes.
Whenever I need it. My kids love it. Why?
If that's what you want to think.
Izzy, practice makes perfect, so you might keep trying. Would you go ahead and close for us?
Absolutely. And as always, guys, we want to thank you for spending part of your day with us. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do so well, please just pick up the phone, give us a call, visit the website below. Even better yet, come into any one of these beautiful models. We'd love to talk to you about building your dream home a reality.
Okay, I think we use that word scaping.
I think I'm ready to escape from Izzy with everything
Alexa,
that
I've got a bunny that disappeared. Yeah.
Alexa, let us be gone.
We're doing a lot more with those when it comes to beans. I'm hungry.
Right.
Okay, let me start over.
Alexa, make Tony and I disappear.
Okay, that was kind of impressive.
Oh, we were? Well, that's even better.